All right, trying this again. Take two, take two. Let me know if I still sound like crap, Pickle Goose. I got this on low latency, so you should be hearing me pretty much all the time here. You sound good. Okay, great. And that probably means that this audio interface is also breaking on me slowly. Son of a bitch. I really don't want to have to buy a new one and do that whole research thing again. Right, well, stream health is yellow, which isn't great, but whatever. I'm audible.com. Always use double inflection beta lock emojis. I don't know. So, what was I saying? Right. Horror narrations on YouTube. Over the past couple weeks, I've seen a lot of videos from horror narrators who are. Ooh, this is a terrible hand. Who have been demonetized because their content has been deemed duplicative. And I've already done a video on what that means and broken it down, so I'm not going to retread that too much. But basically, it means if content like yours or similar to yours is found elsewhere, you risk demonetization. And I don't know why exactly YouTube is pushing this now. I think it is because, personally, I don't know. I think it's because they want to stop having so much content like getting saturated with Let's Plays, getting saturated with horror narrations or Fortnite videos or whatever. Hi, Puppy Fight. I don't know why it's happening. And, I mean, we probably never will because they'll never tell us. But I did kind of want to just do this video as kind of just a chill stream. Gonna play, as you can see, some Fortnite, Hearthstone. God damn it! I've never played Fortnite. I've never even played PUBG, so I don't know why I'm saying that. And just kind of like talk about it and postulate here. I saw, let's see, the most notable videos were from Southern Cannibal, or Canny as he's now rebranded his channel, Creepy Ghost Stories, or CGS, and Your Maker. I've seen default dance for us. I've seen a lot of just chatter on Twitter between narrators that addresses this whole problem, both asking YouTube, asking their fans to kind of retweet to get YouTube's attention, because oftentimes that is the only way you can get their attention. And I don't think anything's really come of it. I think the only channels that are going to survive this are going to be the big ones that have a robust Patreon. I think that's really the only way you can rely on ad revenue, or rather, if you can't rely on ad revenue, that's the only way you're going to survive. I saw that King Spook also made a similar call to action. I'm pretty sure Swamp Dweller did, and Darkness Prevails. But either way, they're dealing with not just the issue of reduced ad revenue, they're dealing with the problem of the algorithm screwing over certain types of content and favoring others. And we don't know when the winds are going to shift on the algorithm. It seems to love, bullshit like vlogs and reaction videos. But it doesn't seem to favor original content like animation or, original music. So it is very, it's just, you're playing this eternal guessing game and you're constantly having to kowtow to YouTube to try to stay within the guidelines and to try to stay in their good graces. Now, it might seem a bit cynical to say, but I would say just like don't bother at this point. I would say don't bother trying to change for YouTube to keep your ad revenue up, because even if you do, like I said before, there is no guarantee that your views will stay. You can't petition the algorithm. You can probably petition remonetization, but you can't just, automatically get views, even if you have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And I've seen some of these narration channels, they have lots of subscribers, but their view counts are a fraction of a fraction of, and that's kind of how it's always been. But I have a better ratio these days than a lot of these narration channels. Beth says most channels have moved on to diversifying their content to reading other subreddits or have abandoned that altogether to gaming channels or whatever. That's true. A lot are now doing the top 5 listicle thing, which even that I think is going to be hit pretty hard by this duplication thing, because if you're reading, and we know they're reading basically lists from other sites because they don't, the chance of them writing something original is very slim, you're still going to run into that problem. That being said, I do think it is unfair that certain narration channels that only write their own stuff or they collaborate on original stories and you can't really hear those same stories elsewhere, it is pretty unfair that they are getting lumped in with everyone else. I think it's probably due to the fact that they use stock footage and CC by SA or public domain music and sounds. I think. Oh, true crime. You're right, Beth. That's another one. A big, true crime, which I think. Who was it? Oh gosh, what's his name? Of course, I'm forgetting everything. I've had a long day of work today. Oh, good. He's got that power that makes everything super powerful. BuzzFeed makes money off of this, so I can too. No, you're absolutely right. But basically, unless you are, I don't know. I really don't know what the solution is to work like within YouTube's parameters. I don't think there is one. I think that they're going to continue to just have, this method of not telling anybody anything until it's too late. And unless you're Will Smith or some giant company that can have ins with advertisers, you're pretty much screwed. Doesn't matter if you have 1 million subscribers. Just look at Mr. Creepypasta. It doesn't matter. You're going to get hit by that algorithm change. So the best thing these narrators can do is get sponsors, like from Ridge Wallet or Audible or what have you. And what else? Get sponsors, get a Patreon, sell merch. If you want to keep doing horror content, and by that I mean, reading stories, that's all, those are your only options at this point. And frankly, that's a big gamble, because what if you can't get a good Patreon? Patreon is not a steady thing. People leave, they subscribe to Patreon or whatever, they become your patrons, and 1 month they'll just be like, I can't afford this anymore, or I'm just not into this content anymore, and they'll stop paying you. So you are still always going to be at the whim of people's tastes and what website you're on, like what platform you're on, what they're going to do with that. So I don't know, man. I don't know what to say other than maybe understand that this is probably the end. There will, of course, always be some channel out there that is getting paid and they're big enough and they have a big enough following, but I don't think we're ever going to get back to the levels of 2013 creepypasta, no sleep, whatever, online horror fiction reading channels. I think those days are firmly done. I think what we're seeing now are the last gasps of these channels who started, 1 to 3 years ago or so, and are now scrambling to figure out what to do. I'm getting my ass kicked here. See if I can bring this back. Mr. Davis is one of the ones that moved to true crime. That's true. Puppy Fight says there's nothing that's good enough for YouTube. They don't inform anyone, and they clearly don't care. No, you're absolutely right. I think YouTube has, at this point, pivoted to let's court big established mainstream media, Vivo, late night talk show hosts, celebrities, because that's the only way that they can confirm that they're going to get advertisers on their side, because advertisers, I guess, don't want to take risks unless they're like, arranged sponsorships. They don't want to take risks on unknowns, and that's unknowns are YouTubers, independent YouTubers. Can I, do I blame YouTube for doing that? Not really. They never really operated with much of a surplus of funds, like, ever. I think they struggled to make money for the longest time. And they, after a long time, figured out, hey, we're just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way because this current way isn't working. It's, it's too much effort, or it's too much, it's too risky. Who knows? They'll never tell us. They will never, ever tell us. Susan Wojcicki will never come clean on exactly why certain choices were made and what directions were taken. We'll never know that. I think Twitch is the closest competitor we'll have to YouTube, but they have been very reluctant to accept any content that isn't people streaming constantly, and mostly video games. There's always the chance, of course, but I don't think that, I think it might be a long time before they resemble something like YouTube. And then who's to say they won't just run into the same exact problems YouTube had? I think, not all types of content lends itself to streaming. I could, move everything over there and just like live stream my music creation process, for example, but I don't really have the time. I don't do it frequently enough because of my day job, so there's no real impetus for me to do that. Horror narrators, I've seen a lot of them, such as Eden, trying to go that route and started streaming a lot. I don't know how successful it is. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But I know that, okay, man, I'm gonna die. I'm not doing well. I don't know how successful that is. I know if you get demonetized, your super chat ability goes away, and getting that back is, you can only get that back if you get remonetized, and that's a fickle process. And it looks like they can monetize you and demonetize you on a whim with seemingly little reason, because I've seen some other channels go through that. They were monetized and they weren't. They cleaned up their act, or that's the wrong term. They cleaned up their content and reorganized everything and had different practices, but then like a week later it didn't matter again. So it sounds like bots are deciding most of this, and YouTube doesn't have enough staff on hand, or they just don't give a shit enough to remonetize these channels. What have we got here? There's also a handful that steal videos from LiveLeak or whatever and make top 10 scariest things that happened in X compilations. Those ones are pretty distasteful. I agree. LiveLeak, say what you want about it. Sometimes it's good for keeping stuff that incriminates bad people, but that really does look like profiting off of just, tragedy. So I can't say I really support that. Twitch isn't a good alternative. They like thought streamers and gamers more than anything. I mean, you're totally right, but at least Twitch knows its brand and it knows what it wants to promote. Man, I'm totally gonna die. I'll just let them kill me. I think they learned a lot from YouTube, being that they don't want to allow just anyone in. It's only certain people who do certain things, and I think that's to their benefit. I really do. They probably, I don't know, maybe they are making a profit, as whereas YouTube isn't. But so I would agree that Twitch isn't a good alternative just because it doesn't lend itself to all types of content. It's a very narrow amount. And it's harder to get partnered on Twitch because there are a billion people who want to play video games on the internet and stream it. And they're not going to let just anyone in. They're only going to let people in who have significant numbers and support pre existing. Which, again, I can't knock them for. That just makes sense. So we come back to the age-old question of what do you do? Like, there's no alternative to YouTube. What do you do? Besides trying to get a Patreon up, I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of YouTubers out there that very soon are going to need to take a hard look and say, maybe I should just get a day job and do this as my hobby. And I bet you a lot of them are not even going to do it as a hobby should they come to that. Because I think a lot of them did it because it was easy. And because the infrastructure is cheap and the barrier for entry is so low. And if they have a day job and they come home, they're like, I want to do something. Is it going to be video games? Is it going to be like doing some art for myself? Or is it going to be reading and editing and posting a horror story reading? And honestly, I think a lot are just going to be like, screw that. I remember talking to B. Busta not too long ago about this. And he said I could maybe get a part-time job or something, but the amount of time it takes to edit everything together, I wouldn't be able to get enough videos out, and I just don't think it would be worth it. Which, you know, is it worth it because it's what you like to do, or is it just because this is a job for you? They can't live stream their creative process because streaming their editing process would take literal minutes. I'm not asking if they'll be successful, but do you think some might migrate to audio-only platforms like podcasts or SoundCloud? I know a lot of them do have SoundCloud accounts or iTunes. They link their podcast to iTunes, and they do have websites. A good few do have websites that they post everything there, which is a great idea, and they probably should have done that ages ago. But SoundCloud is slowly monetizing. Right now, it's really just a bunch of cloud rappers and pop stars, unfortunately. So, is it a possibility? Yes, but SoundCloud is so music-oriented that I think podcasts are going to be one of the last forms of audio content on that website to be monetized. I think SoundCloud should absolutely do it. I think they have waited way too long on making their platform able to make money, not just for them, but for their users. So hopefully we'll see that soon. And I think that would be like, I remember Creepy Ghost Stories in his video that I watched recently said that he thinks the video loops and the static images are being hit because YouTube wants to be a audio visual platform. They don't want people to just turn something on and then like move it over to a different monitor or like put their phone down and just listen. They want people watching. They want eyes on the advertisements and the annotations and all that, which again, like it or hate it, I think that does make sense. You know, if you have a video platform, you want people watching those videos, not just for the advertisements, but to, you know, gauge audience engagement. So it makes sense. It's tragic that it's upset so many YouTubers, and not just narrators, of course, but it does make sense to a degree, to me. Yo, Lolliot. I mean, nothing you don't already know. None of this is new. This is just me chilling, playing some video games, and talking to you guys before I start doing some music for the next trigger track. Puppy Fight says, I don't know where things are going at the moment. I have no idea how to solve the issues happening, but I know what I want, and I want companies to listen to its customers and its users. Yeah, and I think YouTube does listen to its customers and its users, and I think things get very skewed when people in the horror community complain that they don't want horror content on here, they don't want, you know, they want to take us all down, and we bring in so much traffic and all this. And I've said it before, but there really isn't much compared to everything else, compared to beauty streamers, compared to what top let's players, kids channels, unboxing channels, all that stuff. Horror content on YouTube is not a big percentage of the user base. I think a lot more people watch Vivo and clips from SNL and vloggers like fucking Logan Paul and all those douchebags. You know, that's where most of the attention is. It's not on horror content. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they are trying to, they being YouTube, I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to steer away from that because they don't, you know, they don't care because, you know, you have to make a decision. Where am I going to focus my energy and my company's assets and all that? Is it going to be on this tiny section that has a devoted community, but at the same time doesn't really bring in a lot of views? I can understand that as a business decision. It's like, you know, if you're running a restaurant and you're seeing that this one type of dish takes, you know, no one's ordering, you move it off the menu. And I hate to boil YouTubers' hard work and livelihoods down to that, but I think that's just the reality of it, and that reality does need to be kind of considered here. So another thing is, I have no ambitions to ever try to monetize a channel on YouTube ever again, because I looked at a case. This is a federal case. People might recall that Zombie Go Boom, during the first adpocalypse, sued YouTube, saying that they had a monopoly and they promised money, and the case got thrown out pretty early on. Yeah?
I just want to let you know. I tried this body butter
I'm
thing.
streaming, just so you know.
Yeah. Okay. Have fun.
Will do. Sorry.
You streaming again?
Hi, Quiet Paprika.
Hi.
Oh boy. What was I doing? What was I saying?
I thought you were gonna stream.
I fixed the problem.
Oh.
So.
Oh no.
Oh no. Sorry. Crap. What was I? Highlighter Paprika. You've derailed me. You've derailed my thought process.
So what were you talking about?
Oh right, the lawsuit.
So yeah, Trump, right?
Get out of here.
What?
Get out of here. Get out of here with the nonsense.
Get out of here.
Get out of here. Right. So the case got thrown out pretty quickly because the defense for YouTube pointed out the terms and conditions that you agree to when you sign up on, you know, for a channel and for monetization. It clearly says YouTube does not have to put ads on your channel, on your videos. They don't have to do it at all. They may. They reserve the right to not, and to change it, and to alter their community and posting guidelines. It's all there. And what the fuck am I going to do here? Let's do this. Maybe this will work. Damn it. Okay, fuck. So, like, again, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. You can try to chase the algorithm and do everything YouTube wants, but at the end of the day, they're not required to give you dick. They do not have to put ads in your channel. They do not have to make it possible for you to get ad revenue. It is purely up to their discretion if you are putting content on their platform that they want or that they feel is appropriate for advertisers. Oh boy, I'm going to get my ass kicked here. Yep. Oh, look at that, I'm dead. I hate this priest tactic. It's so boring. Lolliet says there are horror channels that are doing well on YouTube, not as good as the vloggers, but still well. It's just their channels like Crypt TV who field all their ideas from their audience. That is correct, and that's where they get all of their content from. But a channel like Crypt TV was it was a company with like probably venture capitalist funding and a lot of stuff before they got on YouTube. They had their shit together before they launched a channel. And actually, Adam Neely, who is a channel I follow, he's a musician, said that if you want to launch a YouTube channel, get really good at something first and then make a channel. Don't try to build up an audience when you're trying to learn the ropes. So, and I think that's what a lot of these narrators did. They saw, oh, all you have to do is read a story, use an image and music you get for free and put it in a simple video. I can do that. Anyone can do that. And anyone did do that. And here we are. You have so many channels who, for all intents and purposes, just look and act the same. Creepy Ghost Stories actually said that in his video, and I did kind of want to bring that up. He said that we use, we being the narration channels, all use similar looking thumbnails because it attracts a certain type of viewer, and they all look the same, and that's a problem, but that's what gets us the views. And I'm thinking to myself, well, but it's working against you, and can you not see how that makes you utterly duplicative? He even admitted that he couldn't pick out his own thumbnails sometimes between two narrators, or maybe like two other channels. He couldn't tell whose was whose, and that is really bad. That is like a very bad thing. If you're in like any other type of industry, or even on YouTube, any other type of sphere of content, you never want to look like someone else on purpose. Like if you're a Let's Player, I can easily tell the difference between an Oni Plays and a Game Grumps thumbnail because they have very clear branding. And the same cannot be said for narrators, because it's almost like a given that you're gonna be so damn similar to someone else. Yeah, it's really bad. And I think the only reason it's happening is because it worked for so damn long. And another thing I've heard brought up is there was this complaint that the stories were the videos were duplicative because you would hear the same story across different channels. And a lot of people don't mind that. A lot of people do mind that. I've seen that. I've seen both in the comments, to be perfectly honest. But it's, why would you want that for your content? Why would you want to be so similar to a different channel that people got you confused? It doesn't make any sense. Just commission a DeviantArt artist, geez. That would require like time and effort and money that they probably don't have. And I think some channels, if they made enough consistent money, they would make an agreement with an artist. Like I know Axeman Cartoons does a lot of his animations based around videos for narrators. I think he absolutely does the most work out of that collaboration for sure. But so it's possible, but that was never a consistent working relationship, I don't think. He'd have to chime in here, but he wasn't churning out weekly animations for these narration channels, and I don't think he could, not if he wanted to release quality videos. Like there's only so much you can do in a week, and even if it was just making artwork for the thumbnails, he'd have to be paid a pretty penny, and he'd have to have a lot of different clients. It's not impossible. This is a thing that people do. I just don't think narrators are going to do it. They've always been used to the kind of bare minimum of what it takes to put out content. And I'm not doing Overwatch. I don't have it installed. What do you mean, why? Is this how we're doing this now? All right, Lolliot's heading out. See you, dude. Thanks for tuning in. Okay, another reason I'm not doing it is because it would be loud and that would be distracting. Bam. Actually doing well for once here. Yes. I got you. Got you, punk. Overwatch, Overwatch, Overwatch. Bagel Goose says it doesn't need to be good, it just needs to stand out. That's true. That's true. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece. It just has to be unique and noticeable enough to where people recognize and become acquainted with your branding. I'm not the best example of that. I do think that my thumbnails don't exactly look like everyone else's, but I do know that YouTube lumps me together in search results with other videos and artists who are musicians rather who use, for example, the same audio software I do. Like I'll say my music videos are made with Z Game Illustrator, and they'll if I type in Abysme, other people will come up because they also use that, which fine, whatever. I mean, YouTube has never really given a shit about my content and tried to give it attention, so it doesn't really matter. Play Overwatch instead. Are you Genji main? Pro Genji player? I think I played Genji once. Guys, I don't have Overwatch installed. Like, I don't have it installed. I don't even know how long it would fucking take to install it from scratch at this point. Unless you all really want to wait around for that. And I'll get angry because I'm bad at that game. I'm not bad at it, but I get angry when I play with people who suck. Because my day job is high stress enough, and I don't come home to play video games to be stressed out. Overwatch install countdown stream. Alright, fine. I'll finish this match, which I think I'm going to win, and we'll see how long it takes. Doomguard, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, so close to winning. Also, if I start downloading Overwatch, it's probably going to kill the stream just because of the amount of bandwidth it's going to take. Is that why Raw Dog is on hiatus? Because the stories read are too high stress? No, we're on hiatus because it's just really difficult getting the schedules together of people on 2 different continents, like 4 different time zones. But hopefully this month we can do another one. What's this? Can only attack if you can. Oh, fuck that. I ain't even about that. Because I absolutely do not blame you. Yeah, you're right. It is like 5 different. I know, Puppy Fight. I want to put out more Raw Dogs too. Just need to, between day job and wedding planning and trying to make music and there's sorts of projects. It's just hard to find the time. The only reason I can do this right now is because I am going to do probably music later. And I managed to get a lot of work done over the last, over Thanksgiving. Good Lord. Why do they always pull this shit out when they have like fucking 4 health left? Yeah, come on. I see now we're in the waiting period of things just taking forever. Actually, I think I can win this here. Because that's going to be 2 damage and 2 damage. I win. Huzzah! Alright, you freaks. Let's see how long it takes to frickin' download Overwatch. I can hear her playing in the other room. I really can. Alright, how long is this going to take? 14 gigs. Ugh. I just want to see an install stream. Well, I got 215 data indices. I bet that's really interesting. I don't know. That's really all I got to say about this shit. But to kind of conclude, and if I can get Overwatch installed tonight, maybe I'll stream like on a different channel or something so people can watch. I know it's getting late for most people out there. It's only 7 where I am, but I know people are in other time zones. Oh, basically, I don't think that horror narration can really last much longer unless it's someone's hobby and just something they do in their spare time. There will always be a handful of channels who manage to make money off of it, but they'll probably have supplementary sources of income. I think a lot of them are just going to go away. They're going to die out. People are going to find other, they're going to find, different types of work, more steady day jobs or what have you. And yeah, that's really the end of it. And I think I always say Maker because the pun is weird to me, but Maker, his channel getting both of his channels getting demonetized is just kind of an omen. I think this is the beginning of the end. I don't think there's anything any of the channels can do to maintain a level of income on YouTube. It's possible. I could be wrong. We could see an outpouring of support and a lot of Patreons just like getting to sustainable levels of income, but I highly doubt it. I really highly doubt it. All this is just so fickle. Having making a living off of what you do on the internet for the vast majority of people does not work out. It's still very new. The infrastructure isn't great. And the people who do eventually make it successfully, they often have to sell out, quote unquote, in some respect. They have to get a lot of sponsors, and they, every day is a continual headache. One of the Let's Players I watch, Neebs Gaming, they have sponsors and they have a pretty good Patreon. And even they, I hear them talk about every day. It's, is this thumbnail going to work? Is this title going to work? Who knows? We have to wrestle with demonetization constantly. I don't know if that's still true, but I've heard about it in the past. So, if you're thinking about trying to monetize any type of channel on YouTube, I would say just don't bother. Unless you already have a big company behind you or you are really, really good at what you do and it's going to bring in views, don't bother. Try to do it some other way. Go to Twitch. Try to sell stuff on Etsy. That's really it. I wonder when the big ones will go away. I mean, eventually people are just, these big channels are going to get tired of it. It can't last forever. They blow through stories so quickly that even the people who write them are going to be like, I'm kind of done. Trends come and go. They stay underground. But again, that underground, it's real hard to keep a consistent living off of that. I just don't see horror content lasting since a lot of the comments I see flock to certain YouTubers for the sound of their voice. Love your voice. It helps me sleep. Yeah. Reading and reacting to other subreddits is the big trend right now, so that's what I see a lot of them migrating to. And, what happens when reaction channels get hit? They already have been, but what happens when they get hit worse? How long? It must be an emotional toll and a psychological toll to constantly be chasing, the carrot here as to what is the trend and what will get me views and money. And again, I can't imagine that these narrators like doing all this. Do they really enjoy reading true scary stories and constantly going over true crime and reading Reddit? No one just goes, yeah, I really like that one day for so many different things. People have tastes. They have tastes that, sure, they evolve over time and you take interest in new things, but never to be like, this is all I'm doing now. This is, I'm done reading scary stories. I want a true crime now. I love it. It's great. I have this great community. We're just going to do that. It's, it just doesn't seem authentic. It doesn't seem like it's real. And, if people have a community behind them, fine. Cool. I'm not going to knock that. But I really question the wisdom of trying to make this work on YouTube for these narration channels. I think, even audio drama channels are getting hit really hard too. They basically exist, more to put stuff on iTunes and to have subscriptions and Patreon stuff. YouTube is really, unless you have an in, unless you're a vlogger, unless you're doing whatever stupid new trend is out there, YouTube really just is a place to park your videos. That's what it is for me for the most part, and occasionally I stream. And I don't lose any sleep anymore over the bullshit that YouTube does. I really don't. I could care less if people see my music a bunch. I make it because I want to make it. If people do watch and they like it, that's always awesome. I really enjoy the feedback that everyone gives me. But having gone through multiple channels, having seen the ups and downs of all the apocalypses up until now, there is no point. No point. Genji is 9 gigs away. This is just downloading. This isn't even installing. I mean, I have to download it first and then install it. I'm backwards, Genji. Welcome back, guys, to True Scary Stories from Whackdonald's, part 347. Love doing this every day. Glad you could make it. Oh, just like the most defeated human being. I remember talking to Darkness Prevails, and he said there'll always be, people will always submit stories, and they'll always want to hear stories on YouTube. Yeah, there's people out there who will always love polka music. That doesn't mean you're going to make money off of it. It doesn't mean that it's viable income. And I do think that a lot of what people watch on YouTube, they get into a trend and then it kind of becomes boring. It's mimetic. Memes are fun, but not the same meme all the time. Unless you're doing something a bit more classical, like music, or animation, or video games, which change constantly, and kind of, there's a lot of variety to them. You can have your pixel games, you can have your FPSs, your AAA, Red Dead Redemption 2s, and all that. There's a reason that Let's Players are still getting most of the traffic, as opposed to horror content creators. Because there's only so many ways you can spin. I'm telling the, 57th True Scary Story this week, and I've already put out multiple videos. How do you sound excited about that? How do you sell that? How do you evolve that? And the answer is you can't. You really, really can't. So, yeah, I'm repeating myself and rambling at this point, and I'm still 5.75 gigs away. Oh no. Oh yeah, Warcraft 3 is free now, apparently. Cool. I did love Warcraft 3. Alright, that's it for me. If you came to this after the live stream, don't worry, you didn't miss much. You missed me, I think, winning 1 and losing 2 matches of Hearthstone. Genji wouldn't make me wait like this. Well, that's because Genji's a punk. What are you talking about? Don't rage comics still make you laugh? Memes never die. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, if you're going to be on YouTube, do something you like. Do something you like. Don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about ad revenue. Get a job. Or rather, get a different job. That's my suggestion. You don't have to take it. I doubt most of you will. The horror narrators are listening to this, but just, I think that's being realistic about it. I really am. Is Genji your husbando? Jerry X Genji. Lol, 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 lol. Alright, I'm taking off. I'm going to go wait for this bullshit to download and install, and then I'm going to play with Paprika. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry about the broken stream first. Hopefully that's not a continual problem, and I don't have to replace another effing audio interface. But yeah, I'll see you guys later.